making your Airbnb look expensive isn't about spending more money.
It's about spending in the right places and skipping the things that do not move the needle.
We have furnished dozens of properties and helped hundreds of hosts, and the difference between a listing that struggles and one that stands out rarely is the budget.
Today, we're walking you through exactly where to invest.
And where to save so your property looks elevated, performs better, and actually gets more bookings. But before we talk about what to buy, we need to reset how you think about the word expensive.
Because expensive is not just about how your property looks, it's also about how it feels to the guest. All right, so let's think about it. While we absolutely want guests to walk in and say, wow, nice decor, we really want them to note, did they sleep well? Is the couch comfortable for lounging? Is that coffee station complete?
That feeling comes from what they touch, what they use during the stay, not necessarily what's sitting on some random shelf.
When you start with decor before function, you are absolutely building on the wrong foundation.
Strategic hosts design for the experience first and the aesthetics second.
So let's talk about what actually makes the place look expensive, especially on Airbnb.
Because guests aren't walking your property first, right? They're seeing it through photos. What reads as expensive in photos is clean, open visual lines, a cohesive color palette, intentional lighting, contrast, and depth.
It's not more stuff.
No.
It's less done better.
Think about the listings that stop you mid-scroll. Okay, they're not cluttered. They're not overly styled. They feel calm, clear, and intentional.
Expensive doesn't mean overly done.
No, it actually means edited. Now, this is where hosts usually overcomplicate things.
For sure. You don't need to design the entire property to stand out. You just need one moment.
A bold wall, a mural, a standout kitchen, a styled bed setup.
Something that makes the guest pause and say, wait, where is that? I want to stay there. That one moment becomes your hero image, your scroll stopper, your hook. Most hosts try to make every single little thing look good.
But strategic hosts make one moment, one space, one area of the property absolutely unforgettable. This also takes off the stress of feeling like you have to have banger after banger in your property. No, we need one intentional moment. And then once you have that one moment dialed in, everything else should just support it, not compete with it.
And this is where we really see the biggest difference between hosts.
Right, reactive hosts design based on what they like.
And strategic hosts design based on performance.
Before we start buying, right, strategic host asks, will this photograph well? Does this create contrast in a good way? Does this help a guest understand the space instantly? Will this make someone stop scrolling and click on my listing? Because your design has a job.
And that job is not to impress you.
It's to get the click and then deliver on the stay. All right, so number one, let's talk about beds and bedrooms, okay? So for example, I have a property that I designed and decorated. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 8 years at this point. I'm like, okay, she's outdated at this point. So I need to revisit the design and decor. I'm also a much more experienced host 8 years later. So before I did anything, I actually dove into the data and I can see what makes people in my market click on properties. What do they care about? What listings are that are performing well? What about them that I can adopt from and bring into my property? And one thing I noticed doing my market research was that properties that were, because mine's a 1-bed, 1-bath, other 1-bed, 1-baths in my area, the ones that had king beds made significantly more money than the ones that had queen beds, which means they're click first. They're the ones that are more desirable. So guess what I'm doing? I'm donating my bed to the Furniture Bank of Columbus, Ohio, and I'm getting a king bed instead. And I am going, that is a more strategic decision. That is a decision based on data. This is where your reviews come in too, right? So not only do I know that king beds perform better in my area for these 1-bedroom apartments, but I know that because they perform better, the guests, when they stay there, the stay is going to deliver on it. They're going to love their king bed. They're going to starfish. It's going to be awesome. They're going to leave it in the reviews. And of course, I don't stop with the king size bed. I have the amazing mattress to back it up. I've got the pillows that are, I've got some firm, some soft. I've got the amazing comfy linens. All right. This is not where you cut corners. The sleep is what they're paying for, and you need to make sure that you are investing there.
Number 2, right after the bed, is the actual seating. It's your couch, your lounge spaces. This is where this is where they're spending a significant amount of time. And if it's uncomfortable, they're going to feel it, and it's going to show immediately. And the guests also, if you have a space that sleeps 16, you need to make sure that you have your home prepared for all of them to be able to sit and not lining up on the floor.
Number 3, the kitchen setup. All right, guests choose short-term rentals. They stay in Airbnbs because they want to live in it, right? They want to cook. They want to have the option there. If your kitchen feels incomplete, they're going to see it, and then they're going to feel it even worse, right? And going back to Annette's point about the seating, same with the kitchen. If you don't have enough plates, bowls, dishes, glassware, mugs, where the guests can actually use more than one set before having to do a load of dishwashers, they're going to notice that, and they're going to leave that in your review. So that's having an appropriate number is more important than spending gobs amount of money on glassware and dishes and things of that nature, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
And then number 4, the comfort systems that are surrounding you. The lighting, the secondary lighting, the temperature, the noise or the lack thereof, the actual layout and the way that they move around the space, those are additions to make the space feel expensive.
Yeah, if the guests interact with something for more than a few minutes during their stay,
it directly impacts the guest experience, and it matters.
And if you are currently setting up or refreshing your property, or you're now inspired to do so,
we've linked our Airbnb Essentials checklist below.
It walks you through exactly what to stock, set up, and prioritize, so you're not guessing on what actually matters. We're giving it to you on a silver platter.
Now we're going to talk about where hosts tend to overspend.
All right, first up is decor, okay? The small objects.
The tchotchkes.
The tchotchkes, the knickknacks, the filler pieces, okay? They don't really show up in photos, and if they do, that's not a good thing. They clutter up the photos then. And they're not really impacting the stay. It's just more for your cleaners to clean.
And then your glassware, other breakables, the dishes, the plates, the bowls, the silverware that accidentally gets thrown away. These things are constantly getting replaced, and that's okay because we prepare for it. This is not where you need to purchase premium.
And then let's talk about the overly themed design. Listen, I love a property that goes all in on a concept, but if it feels, what is that word? If it feels themed, if it feels
cheesy,
yeah,
forced,
then it just feels like you're in like a really bad amusement park, you know? Trying to force a concept instead of focusing on the usability and comfort and supporting that with some sort of vibe or feel or theme is a big mistake.
If the item doesn't help someone sleep better, relax more, or use the space easier,
then I promise you it's not driving bookings and it's not worth you spending money on. So now you know what makes a property feel elevated to a guest.
But this is just one piece of building a high-performing Airbnb.
Inside Strategic Host, our one-on-one coaching program, we help you make these decisions across your entire business, okay? And it starts with pricing, calendar management, design, operations, hiring, so you're not guessing on what to do next.
If you want help with that, click the link in the show notes to apply. We'll learn more about you and your business and see if it's a good fit to support you. And we want to know in the comments, what's one thing that you have bought for your Airbnb that you will never invest in again?
Ooh. With that, I am Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting.